This channel is made possible by viewers like you. My viewers, subscribers, and patrons greatly help to keep this channel going. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for all of you. Please make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any uploads. And if you'd like to go the extra mile, please check out my Patreon page. For just $1 a month, you'll get access to what I'm working on, previews of upcoming content, and even early videos, along with other tier options for those that are interested. Thank you, and now on to the video. The indie market is where I usually go to get new experiences rooted in old design and visuals. For the FPS fans, we have plenty of boomer shooters to enjoy, along with a lot of developers making retro RPGs. But what about within the shoot 'em up space? If you were visiting the arcades back in the day or owned an SNES and loved westerns, you probably remember Sunset Riders, a classic co-op shoot 'em up that was and honestly still is a blast to play today. Well, an indie developer thought it would be a good idea to blend the gameplay from Sunset and infuse it with the style, tropes, and characters from 60s and 70s cinema. It might be one of the best games of 2023 that no one is talking about. I have fond nostalgic memories of going to the arcades with my father and friends playing various shoot 'em ups and beat 'em up games. These were always a blast in single player and especially co-op. You select that well-designed and detailed character and then are dropped into levels defeating all manner of bad guys that come at you. This wasn't about the loot, open world, competitive multiplayer, or even live service systems. It was about enjoying an hour of fun and well-done minute-to-minute gameplay with a variety of foes and levels to punch and shoot your way through. And usually you were doing this with your parent or friends who came with you, or even sometimes forming new friendships with another random player as you try to beat the game. My point with this is that it was a simpler time, and honestly maybe even better in some ways. The specialness of going to the arcades has always stayed with me, and when a game can transport me back there through its design and gameplay, I'll eat it all up. Deathwish Enforcers takes me back to this time. From the enjoyable shooting action, great visual presentation, and personality, even to some of the cheap shots that the game throws back at you. And now I can have this experience in my living room or anywhere through the Switch. Deathwish Enforcers is a side-scrolling shoot 'em up. It can be played in solo and local co-op play, and it's fun in both. When I first played the game, I experienced it exclusively in single player. My second time through it was with 2-player co-op, and honestly I think that's the best way to play it. Again, it does go back to what I said about the arcade experience. It is fun by yourself because of the quality of the game, but being able to share it with someone else makes it that much better. Control-wise, it's very pick up and play. You have a button for shoot, jump, and your character's special. Shooting is punchy and satisfying with enemies flying back when hit. You can perform a melee attack when one of them gets too close. As a means for defense, there is a slide. This is performed when hitting the jump button while holding down. This lets you slip right into some cover and dodge different attacks. I think this is where some of the skill comes into play. I honestly really didn't use it much my first time through it, but found myself using it more on my second run and performed better. Once you find a power-up with an S on it, you can use your character's special. And these are screen clearing attacks, like a flock of birds or a nuke. Now this is rooted in old school arcade design, so one hit kills you and you'll lose whatever power-ups and specials you had at the time. At the start, you have 4 characters to choose from, and they are all based on different film characters and actors from the time period. So you can be Dirty Harry, Charles Bronson, a combination of Austin Power Girls, and one based on Pam Grier. Each have their own unique specials, weapons, and even melee attacks. The stats for each character are unique to them as well. The objective of the game is to survive, shooting and punching anything that comes at you. At the end of each stage, you'll be scored based on how well you did. Stages range from dark city streets, at the docks, a graveyard, a prison, and a lot more. For the most part, you are fighting a lot of gunmen, with one level dipping its toe into some horror, with zombie enemies and even a haunted house. Most of the levels feature you on foot, but there are a few with motorcycles to help change up the action. Now for fans of this cinema era, there's plenty of references and nods you'll probably really like. Everything from background items, the levels themselves, to the bosses. You'll fight Mayday from A View to a Kill, Christopher Walken, and even Arnold Schwarzenegger. Deathwish Enforcers has a healthy dose of humor as well. I wasn't expecting comedy when going into it, but was pleasantly surprised. It is all manner of politically incorrect stuff, and as long as you weren't born with a stick up your butt, you'll probably get a kick out of it. The little bits of voice acting add to this, and the last boss fight is one of the best gags.
I gotta charge up my food.
Deathwish Enforcers is a delight, and I did have a few flaws along the way. One odd glitch I had was whenever I died, none of my power-ups would go away, and this happened to me on my second run of the game. It sort of made me feel like I had a cheat code on, and I had no idea how this happened either. There are a handful of gotcha moments where it feels like they were implemented to steal a life away from you. These are annoying when they happen, but honestly these were in the games from the past that most of us enjoyed. The Jack Nicholson boss fight does go on for a bit too long, and he blocks a bit too much. I do still wish that you could remain stationary and shoot diagonally as well. The developer spoke to me and he is working to improve balancing in some areas, so some of this stuff is going to be addressed. It is sad that there is no built-in option for online co-op, but at least on the PS4 and 5 you can use the share play feature to do this. One thing I'd love to see for the future, or for their next game, would be if they included additional unlockable modes and ways to play it. For example, having access to a level select option, boss rush, or even a horde mode of some kind. Honestly, much of this comes from my want of having more because it's so enjoyable. Deathwish Enforcers is a really awesome game. It's easily one of my favorite titles this year, and it's definitely one of the most overlooked games too. Deathwish Enforcers is definitely a game that speaks for itself, in that once you get your hands on it, you can see the quality jumping right off the screen, from the presentation to the gameplay. But I think a few things could have improved this title's chances at getting noticed more, and hopefully selling better. For one, there are way too many games that are released on a weekly basis. We are especially flooded with indies, and as someone who plays many of these games within this space, Deathwish is among the upper tier for these games. But with the large amount of releases, it's also the reason even good to great indies can get missed. On the other side of things, this title did have a decently sized publisher, who should have done more to market this title. There was a lack of coverage, interviews, or even streams to help create a splash for the launch. It essentially received a shadow launch, almost like this developer didn't even have a publisher of this size. And then there's some of the past actions of the publisher that many were and are frustrated with, and I understand that, and I did not agree with the publisher's actions as well. I almost didn't want to cover this game initially because of that. But objectively, this title looked good, and more than likely, these developers had nothing to do with the publisher's actions, so why punish the developer? I'd rather look at it as supporting the developer. And I want to see these guys continue and be able to make more games. And I think a lot of that will come down to the sales and reception of Deathwish Enforcers. This is part of what I like to do with my channel. Put some attention on the underrated and overlooked. I don't have a large audience, but I do have a loyal one. If this game catches your eye at all and you're looking for something fun to play on a Friday night, maybe with some friends, then buy this game and show this developer the support that they need right now. I highly recommend Deathwish Enforcers, and if you have played it, let me know in the comments below. If you're interested in being notified of new videos, please hit the subscribe button and bell. And if you would like to support the channel and get early access to content, please check out my Patreon. All of the links will be at the end of this video and within the description. And thank you very much for watching.